How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ruffled Rowlett, and welcome back to a brand new video, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be talking about Pokemon 2020 and what might be coming our way in 2020 in terms of Pokemon releases. So I thought this would be what we would be taking a look at today. Hopefully you guys will enjoy this. If you do, then drop a like down below as per usual. I do apologize about basically if I sound a little bit like on the lower end. It's because I still have throat pain. Honestly, I've been dealing with this for almost 2 weeks now. It's been genuinely painful to deal with. I even had it during my birthday, which was like, what, 3 days ago now? So yeah, I've been dealing with this shit for quite a while now, and it's been honestly rough to deal with. But hey, hopefully we'll be getting through it very soon, and I can get back to normal video making. And yeah, let's get started, shall we? So first things first, ladies and gentlemen, what are we talking about today? Well, Pokemon 2020. What's coming our way? What is coming our way in the year of 2020 in terms of Pokemon? Because honestly, there's been little info, there's been little information that's been going around about this, but there is some old information that is worthwhile to go through. This was a post made in September 28th on 2019 by Ali Haider on the website Twisted Voxel, which actually goes through some of the stuff that was mentioned by one of our friends, PokeShopper, a while back. And I thought we'd look through what the information here is, because this guy kind of just summarized a little bit of it. And of course, you guys can go check out the actual video by PokeShopper about this, which is the Sinnoh Merch and Galar anime breakdown stuff. So let's get started with the top right here. So Pokemon might be continuing to get new games heading into 2020. The latest leak regarding the game suggests that it might be a remake of the Sinnoh generation. Now, I'm not sure if this is actually real leak stuff, but let's just see what he talks about. Now, Nintendo has usually followed a new generation with a remake for an old one, which is true. I mean, if we follow the way they've done remakes since the first remake, which was Fire Red, Leaf Green, right? So that was back in 2003, 2004, after Ruby and Sapphire came out. So Ruby and Sapphire was Generation 3, introduced the first generation remakes. Then Generation 4 introduced the Generation 2 remakes. Then Generation 5 didn't introduce any remakes, but Generation 6 did introduce, which was X and Y, introduced the ORAS remakes, right? Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. Then Generation 7 didn't introduce any remake, which kind of started this kind of weird pattern almost, which isn't really truly, I mean, you can't really call it a pattern because there's not been enough time to really establish it, but some people see it as a pattern that, Gen 5 no remake, Gen 4 remake, Gen 5 no remake, Gen 6 remake, Gen 7 no remake, Gen 8 remake, right? So there's this kind of pattern that's kind of people see it as a pattern that's been kind of existing now, which is fair enough. You can see a bit of a pattern going on there, but I'm not sure if it's, fair to establish one just yet until we see a few more generations of, the pattern continuing if it is there. But that's besides the point. So logically speaking, next on the agenda would be to give us Sinnoh remakes, right? That's the next thing on the to-do list, basically, for Pokemon, right? It's the next thing. It's the Sinnoh remakes, because we've gotten Generation 1, Generation 2, Generation 3 been remade. Now Generation 4 is next up. And also, I've seen some people make the argument that, oh, remakes are not guaranteed or whatever. And I'm just well, yeah, they're never guaranteed, but it's something that literally, Game Freak have talked about. They literally mentioned they enjoy making remakes. They enjoy going back to their older stuff and remaking it. And also, Nintendo loves it. Why? Because they literally make a ton of money from basically less effort, right? From their side in terms of funding, because all that the Game Freak has to do at that point is literally just recreate something they've already had in the past, right? The story is already there, the world is already established, the Pokemon are already there, which means they don't need to make any new Pokemon. It's all literally there already, right? Everything is pre-established for them. They literally don't have to go through the extra hoops, the extra hoops and stuff to get to what they want, right? There is no extra, necessities to go through to get the game out there. So a remake is always a sure bet of getting guaranteed money with less investment, right? You're basically investing way less, because when you're making a brand new generation, let's say Generation 8, Generation 7, Generation 6, whatever it may be, right? You have to invest into people doing the storyboarding, writing whatever stories there, right? Creating brand new Pokemon, which takes a bit of time, designing a whole new region, designing new characters, a new world, basically all the stuff that you have to go through is generally going to increase the general cost of the actual product, right? You're going to be spending way more money, right? So, generally speaking, making a remake is far cheaper. It is far cheaper because you're literally recreating something you've already done in the past. That means the story can be the same essentially with minor differences. The Pokemon are the same. You don't need to add any brand new Pokemon. You really don't, because I can't really remember any of these generations like in the past, or like, you know, Oras didn't have to add any brand new Pokemon per se. I mean, sure, there was a few things, right? You know, like, and when I say brand new Pokemon, I'm talking like several, right? I'm not talking about one or two, like, you know, with Let's Go Peach and Squeevy, how we had Meltan and Melmetal, right? I'm talking about several, like, you know, how with the new generation, there's usually, like, you know, like 60, 70, 80, 90, you know, Pokemon. That's what I mean by, like, brand new Pokemon, like several of them, you know, which takes a bit of time because you have to, you know, you have to design them, you have to write a story about, like, a background to them, you have to, you know, actually create them, like animate them, model them, animate them, texture them, you know, UV map them, all that extra stuff, the extra work that comes with it, right, doesn't exist with a remake because you're just reusing the existing stuff you already have, which makes it far cheaper to make. And also, another thing about Sinnoh remakes in particular is, you know, like, the person I saw write about this, like, you know, just comment about, like, you know, oh, they won't do remakes because the only reason we had remakes in the past was coincidental, right, or whatever, and like, they also type like, oh, the only reason they did Oras was because there was a huge demand for it. And then I'm just like, okay, but how does that make Diamond and Pearl not possible then, considering that Diamond and Pearl have equal amounts of people wanting to see them remade, that we have people wanting, you know, that people that wanted Ruby and Sapphire remade. We literally have the same amount of people. There was literally so many people that want Diamond and Pearl remakes, you know, here. I want them. I know tons of other people also want them. I know it's one of the most wanted things from Pokemon. So, like, from Pokemon fans. Like, they want that. It's like, I think the most popular generation besides Gen 1 in, like, Japan. I think it's one of the most popular because I remember, like, reading an article about this a while back that, like, even they, like, the Japanese fans are really eager for it when they're writing on social media and stuff. So, hey, I don't know, man. But let's continue. Now, so, where were we? They've been doing it for a long time now. Sometimes the remake gets its own remake, as has happened with Let's Go Pikachu or the Let's Go games. This latest leak comes from a YouTuber who suggests that we might be getting a remake of Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, which are considered Generation 4. This featured the Sinnoh region, right? This leak is just a rumor for now because it looks at the merchandise that is being made in order to speculate that the Pokemon Company is working on a remake of the game set in the Sinnoh region, right? Which is logical. If you actually watch the video, you know, your boy actually goes through and he talks about specifically the anime, and then also talks about merchandise, being like seemingly a lot of merchandise coming out for the Diamond and Pearl legendaries and that sort of stuff. So yeah, let's see. So, looking at the merchandise and that is being made in order to speculate that the Pokemon Company is working on the remake of the game set in the Sinnoh region. These were originally released on the Nintendo DS, which, fair enough. The YouTuber noticed a trend of the Pokemon Company re-releasing merchandise including Darkrai, Dialga, Palkia, and Arceus. He then later added that this could mean a new Pokemon remake in 2020. There were a couple of other merchandises related to the 4th generation that was also getting re-released, right? This is similar to how fans were able to discover the Kanto region is featured in a new Pokemon game with Let's Go Peach and Squeevy. We knew about it ahead of time because we saw an increase. And I remember I covered this, right? We saw an increase in, like, Gen 1 merch, right? A lot of Generation 1 stuff, like, was being, like, leaked out and popping up and whatnot. Eevee was popping up 24/7. If you guys remember the Let's Go era news and rumors that I covered, literally, like, it was just a huge boom in that area of, like, that side of things, right? Which just confirmed, essentially, that, oh, shit, something Gen 1 related is coming. And I remember, like, calling it out back then, like, hey, Gen 1 seems to be getting a remake. Like, there's a lot of things pointing toward it, so this makes a lot of sense. And we have a similar situation going on with Diamond and Pearl this time around, you know, with Sinnoh. Seemingly, not confirmed, but seemingly. Now, let's continue. So, there are a total of 107 new additions with the 4th generation. These games originally launched for the Nintendo DS and haven't been remade by Nintendo or Game Freak. Nintendo is releasing Pokemon Sword and Shield later this November, exclusively for Nintendo Switch. This will kickstart the 8th generation. So yeah, we're in the 8th generation now. As you guys know, the new anime that is out, you know, featuring Ash and Go, the new anime is basically like, you know, it's a bit of a different kind of thing, right? It's a little bit different in the way it is. And this difference, so to say, is kind of intriguing to me because the way it's kind of set up is honestly a little bit strange. I'm going to be frank with you guys. It's a little bit odd, I will say. Because we don't really have any more this kind of like consistent journey that Ash is taking. It's a bit of a mishmash, which also means it's potentially gonna be longer, right? Because now we're following along as Go is trying to like trying to like basically catch a Mew, which they can extend that sort of story as long as they want. So making Generation 8 longer than previous gens is highly possible. They can make a Sinnoh remake this upcoming year, 2020, and then the year after that, in 2021, they can make a whatchamacallit, like a follow-up to Sword and Shield, right? And the anime could still keep going at that point, and who knows, they could do even another game after that point, like another Let's Go game maybe, if there's enough, like, you know, if there's enough interest from Nintendo, and if there's not enough interest from the Pokemon Company, you know what I mean? They could literally extend that there as well. But of course, a new generation at that point would make the more sense, because it would benefit them in the long run more by releasing a new generation, because that means new merch and new stuff they can sell, because eventually, you know, you can't keep selling the same merch over and over again until, you know, people want something new, which is why new generations even, you know, kind of have to exist in some sense. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, what are you guys' thoughts about this? What do you guys think about the merchandising stuff? This is old information, by the way. This is old news from a while back. Just back then, I didn't cover it because there was so much Sword and Shield stuff coming out that I didn't bother getting into it, because I thought, hey, we'll wait until, you know, Sword and Shield are released, and then we'll get into the Diamond and Pearl, you know, in 2020 stuff. So, what are your thoughts and opinions, ladies and gentlemen? Let me know in the comment section down below, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy, drop a like down below. I'll catch you on the next one. Have yourselves a great day, and bye-bye, ladies and gentlemen. Peace out.